My friends, we live in a world that preaches kindness at every turn. Be nice, they say. Love everyone, they tell us. And while love is a commandment, while compassion is a virtue, I must stand before you today and sound an alarm. Stop being kind to everyone. Kindness is a virtue that has been praised for generations, a quality that many believe defines a good person. We are taught from a young age to be kind, to be gentle, to be considerate of others. But what happens when kindness is disconnected from truth? What happens when kindness is used as an excuse to avoid hard conversations, to ignore wrongdoing, or to make people feel comfortable in destructive behaviors? This is where kindness without truth becomes dangerous, because it ceases to be true kindness at all. There is a kindness that heals and a kindness that harms. When kindness is rooted in truth, it leads to restoration, to growth, to transformation. It is the kind of kindness that challenges a person to rise higher, to see themselves through the lens of truth, rather than the illusions of comfort. But when kindness is separated from truth, it becomes a passive tool of destruction. Excellent. It allows people to continue down dangerous paths, offering them a false sense of security when what they need is a wake-up call. Too often, people choose to be nice rather than truthful because they fear confrontation. They don't want to hurt feelings. They don't want to cause tension, so they withhold the very thing that could bring real change. This kind of kindness is not love, it is fear disguised as compassion. It prioritizes momentary peace over long-term transformation. It avoids discomfort at the cost of a person's well-being. True kindness, on the other hand, is willing to risk being misunderstood, willing to endure rejection, willing to speak the hard truths that lead to real freedom. Society today has embraced the idea that kindness means accepting all things without question. It promotes the belief that to love someone, we must affirm all of their choices, even when those choices lead to destruction. But this is not love, and it is not kindness. If a person is drowning, you don't reassure them that water is their friend. You throw them a rope. If a person is sick, you don't tell them their disease is beautiful. You offer them a cure. The same principle applies to the soul. If someone is walking in deception, in addiction, in rebellion, the most unkind thing we could do is remain silent. Many people think they are being kind by avoiding difficult conversations, by ignoring sin, by letting people find their own way without intervention. But what good is it to make someone feel good in the moment if it costs them everything in the end? This is the kindness that destroys, the kindness that comforts people in their downfall rather than calling them to something greater. True kindness does not simply seek to make people happy, it seeks to make them whole. And wholeness can only come through truth. People who truly love others do not withhold truth from them. They do not exchange eternal consequences for temporary comfort. They do not stand by while people they care about make choices that will bring destruction upon their lives. Kindness must be paired with honesty, or it ceases to be kindness at all. The greatest kindness we can offer is the kind that leads people out of deception and into the light, no matter how hard it may be to say or how difficult it may be to hear. Love is one of the most misunderstood concepts in the world today. People define it in many ways, often shaping it to fit their own desires and preferences. One of the greatest misconceptions is the idea that love means accepting everything, tolerating every belief, approving every lifestyle, and never challenging another person's choices. This kind of love is not real love at all. It is a counterfeit version that offers comfort but no correction, affirmation but no accountability. It is a shallow, feel-good idea that ignores the deeper responsibility that true love carries. Real love does not turn a blind eye to destruction. It does not watch someone walk toward disaster and remain silent in the name of kindness. Love does not mean standing by as people make choices that harm themselves and others. The idea that love requires acceptance of all things is a dangerous lie that has led many people into complacency. Instead of standing for what is right, people avoid difficult conversations. Instead of warning others about the consequences of their actions, they choose to say nothing, afraid of being labeled judgmental or intolerant. But love is not passive. Love takes action. Love speaks when silence would be easier. Love reaches out even when it is rejected. If love meant acceptance of everything, then there would be no reason to intervene when someone is hurting themselves. If a person is caught in self-destructive habits, true love does not simply smile and tell them they are fine just the way they are. If a child is running into the street, true love does not hesitate to pull them back, even if they cry out in protest. Love is not about making people feel good in the moment. It is about seeking what is truly best for them, even when it is difficult. The idea that love equals unconditional acceptance has caused many to abandon truth in favor of keeping the peace. But love and truth are inseparable. Without truth, love is empty. Without truth, love has no real power to change or heal. Love is not about ignoring sin. It is about leading people out of it. Love does not tell someone they are fine in their brokenness. It calls them to something greater. Love does not comfort a person in their chains. It shows them the way to freedom. Many people have embraced the idea that correcting someone is unloving, that speaking truth is offensive, that calling out sin is hateful. But what could be more hateful than allowing someone to continue in deception? What could be more unloving than withholding the very truth that could save them? The world's version of love is passive, weak, and ineffective. It seeks to avoid conflict, to please everyone, to be liked rather than to be honest. But real love does not conform to what is comfortable. It challenges, it convicts, it calls people to something higher. To love someone is to desire the best for them. And sometimes that means saying what they do not want to hear. Sometimes that means taking a stand, even when it costs something. Love without truth is not love at all. It is a hollow imitation that keeps people trapped in the very things that are destroying them. Love must be willing to risk rejection, to endure misunderstanding, to face opposition. Love does not leave people in darkness, it leads them into the light. Silence in the face of sin is often mistaken for kindness, but in reality it is one of the most dangerous forms of neglect. Many people choose to remain silent, thinking they are showing love by not confronting wrongdoing. They believe that by avoiding difficult conversations, they are keeping the peace, maintaining relationships, and allowing others to find their own way. But true love does not turn a blind eye to destruction. True kindness does not withhold truth when it is needed most. Refusing to speak the truth is not an act of love. It is an act of fear. Fear of rejection, fear of conflict, fear of being labeled judgmental. These are the real reasons many people stay silent. They do not want to offend. They do not want to be misunderstood. They do not want to face the possibility that speaking the truth might cost them friendships, respect, or approval. But love is not about seeking comfort. Love is about seeking what is best for others, even when it is hard. The world teaches that tolerance is the highest form of love, that accepting everything without question is the key to harmony. But tolerance without truth is nothing more than indifference. It does not bring healing, it does not bring freedom, and it does not bring real peace. There are moments in life when saying nothing is the most harmful thing a person can do. Imagine a doctor who sees a life-threatening disease in a patient but refuses to speak up because he does not want to upset them. Imagine a parent who watches their child make destructive choices but remains silent because they do not want to be seen as too harsh. Imagine a friend who knows someone is heading toward disaster but chooses not to warn them because they do not want to lose the friendship. In each of these situations, silence is not an act of kindness, it is an act of neglect. When we care about someone, we do not let them walk toward harm without warning them. Many people believe that avoiding conversations about sin is a way to show respect for others. They believe that as long as they are personally doing what is right, they do not need to speak up about what others are doing. But sin does not only affect the individual, it affects families, communities, and entire societies. When people choose silence over truth, they allow darkness to spread. They allow deception to take root. They allow entire generations to grow up without a clear understanding of right and wrong. Confronting sin does not mean being harsh, cruel, or self-righteous. It does not mean standing in judgment or looking down on others. It means caring enough to tell the truth with love and wisdom. It means having the courage to speak even when it is uncomfortable. It means valuing someone's soul more than their opinion of you. The world tells people to keep their beliefs to themselves, to avoid speaking about morality, to let everyone live however they choose. But when sin is ignored, it does not disappear, it grows. When truth is withheld, people are left wandering in confusion. Silence allows deception to thrive. It allows people to continue in destructive behaviors without realizing the consequences. It allows the world to redefine morality, to reshape truth, to make sin look harmless. Those who remain silent in the face of sin are not showing love. They are withholding the very thing that could set people free. There is a time to listen, a time to understand, but there is also a time to speak. And when truth is needed, silence is not kindness, it is cowardice. Jesus was the perfect example of love, yet he was never afraid to speak the truth. He walked among the broken, the lost, and the sinners, showing them compassion, healing their wounds, and offering them hope. But his love was never passive. He did not ignore sin, and he did not hesitate to confront those who needed correction. His words carried authority, cutting through deception and exposing the lies that held people captive. He did not flatter the crowds to win their approval. He did not soften his message to avoid offending people. He loved them enough to tell them the truth, even when it was difficult for them to hear. Many people today have embraced a version of love that is nothing like the love Jesus demonstrated. They believe that love means avoiding conflict, never making anyone uncomfortable, and accepting all choices without question. But Jesus did not operate this way. He called people to repentance. He warned them about sin. He challenged religious leaders who misled the people. He spoke the truth boldly, not because he wanted to condemn, but because he wanted to save. His love was not weak or compromising. It was strong and transformative. When Jesus encountered the woman caught in adultery, he showed her grace by preventing the crowd from stoning her. But he did not tell her that her sin was acceptable. Instead, he told her to go and sin no more. When he met the rich young ruler who wanted eternal life, he did not simply affirm him for being a good person. He told him to give up what he valued most, because he saw that his heart was not truly surrendered. Some walked away from Jesus because his truth was too much for them to accept. Yet he never changed his message to make it more appealing. Love is not true love if it does not challenge people to turn away from what is destroying them. Too many people think that being kind means keeping quiet, avoiding offense, and allowing people to continue in sin without ever confronting them. But true kindness does not let someone walk into danger without warning them. True love does not comfort someone in their destruction. It calls them out of it. When Jesus spoke, he spoke with authority because he understood that real love does not leave people as they are. It transforms them. There is a cost to loving people the way Jesus did. Those who speak the truth will face opposition. They will be misunderstood. They will be rejected, just as he was. But that is the price of true love. Jesus was not crucified because he performed miracles or fed the hungry. He was crucified because he spoke the truth. The religious leaders could not stand his words because they exposed their hypocrisy. The crowds that once cheered for him turned against him because he would not give them the kind of easy salvation they wanted. His love did not fit their expectations, and so they rejected him. If Jesus had only performed miracles and spoken gentle words, he would not have faced such intense opposition. But he knew that love without truth is powerless. He understood that people needed more than kindness. They needed transformation. His words were sharp, but they brought healing. His rebukes were strong, but they led to redemption. He spoke the truth because he knew that nothing else could set people free. Those who follow him must be willing to do the same. Love without boldness is not real love. Those who truly love others must be willing to stand for truth, no matter the cost. True kindness is not just about making people feel good in the moment. It is about doing what is best for them, even when it is difficult. Many people believe that kindness means always being agreeable, never saying anything that might upset someone, and always supporting people no matter what choices they make. But this kind of kindness is shallow and powerless. It may bring temporary comfort, but it does not bring real help. True kindness goes beyond making someone feel good. It seeks to make them whole. It is willing to challenge, correct, and even confront because it understands that real love does not leave people in darkness. When someone is heading down a destructive path, the most unkind thing to do is to remain silent. If a person is walking toward danger, the loving response is not to encourage them or ignore their actions, but to warn them. Yet many people avoid saying what needs to be said because they are afraid of how others will react. They do not want to offend. They do not want to cause conflict. They do not want to risk rejection. But true kindness does not seek approval from people. It seeks what is best for them. It does not settle for shallow peace at the expense of truth. It understands that the temporary discomfort of correction is far better than the long-term consequences of remaining in deception. The world has redefined kindness to mean unconditional approval. It teaches that if you love someone, you must support everything they do. If you truly care about them, you must never challenge them, never question their choices, never make them feel uncomfortable. But this is not kindness. It is indifference. It is a way of avoiding responsibility. It is a way of protecting one's own comfort rather than truly helping another person. Real kindness does not ignore sin. It does not remain silent while someone ruins their life. It does not allow people to continue in deception just to avoid an awkward conversation. Jesus demonstrated the kind of kindness that brings change. He was full of compassion, always willing to extend grace to those who came to him. But his kindness was never without truth. He did not excuse sin, he exposed it. He did not overlook destructive behavior, he called it out. He did not tell people they were fine just as they were. He challenged them to repent, to change, to turn toward righteousness. His kindness was not about making people feel comfortable. It was about leading them to the truth that would set them free. There is a cost to showing this kind of kindness. People may resist correction. They may reject the truth. They may turn away in anger, refusing to listen. But true kindness does not give up on people just because they do not immediately respond. It continues to stand firm, continues to speak truth, continues to love, even when that love is not received. Kindness is not about being liked. It is about being faithful to what is right. It does not compromise for the sake of popularity. It does not weaken its message to gain approval. It remains steady because it is rooted in something deeper than human opinions. The most powerful kindness is the kind that is willing to do what is hard for the sake of what is good. It is the kind that does not shrink back when faced with opposition. It is the kind that speaks the truth even when silence would be easier. It is the kind that values a person's eternal well-being over their temporary comfort. This is the kindness that transforms lives. This is the kindness that brings real healing. This is the kindness that leads people into the light.